And now more malpractice, mishaps and misprints which go to prove that's life.
Well, I don't know. He's only spilt this all over my bloody coat. Oh!
Sugar for madam?
Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. We must say good evening to you, and we must also thank viewers at home for some marvellous letters you sent us again this week. Actually, do you know what? You sent us some presents too. Mrs. Pattis from Luton bought some white socks in Canada that she thinks are going to suit me, so I think I'll put them on because I've had a little trouble with my stockings tonight. The reason they're laughing is I had to do me suspenders up just before the programme. All right, she says... It really suits you because you like putting your best foot forward. I think she's just trying to say I ought to put a sock in it. Hey, Gavin.
Holiday tip time. Lots of viewers recommend the Canaries. Well, where else could you find the national sport? At 11 a.m, canary wrestling.
And as Mr. and Mrs. Milliard point out, where else but in Gran Canaria could you find a beautiful bronzed blonde like her? Well... absolutely. I'll tell you where. In beautiful blonde Brighton.
Well, at least it's safer there than here in London. Andrew Penning was most alarmed to read reports of an accident that caused traffic chaos when a waiter burst in the early hours of the morning.
And if you wondered where all the Tory voters in Truro went, I can tell you. Fiona Patterson from Glasgow bought a pot of Dutch jam. Ingredients: sugar, raspberries, Conservatives.
You'll have to take the lid off if you want a bit. Knew I should have stopped that one. Hey, did you know it's the centenary of the St John Ambulance Brigade? You know, those wonderful men and women who save so many lives every day with their skill in first aid. We have invited a very important member of their first aid team to join us. This is Annie, and you can practice resuscitation on her. You can blow in her mouth to start her breathing. Incidentally, if you ever have to do that for real, there is absolutely no risk of catching AIDS by giving someone the kiss of life, especially Annie. Or you can get her heart going. We wondered how many people could cope if someone dropped down, say, with a suspected heart attack in the street. So we asked Iris Bundle from the St John Ambulance Brigade to go out with Annie and Gavin to see how people would cope if Annie collapsed on the pavement in front of them. Now, we must stress that you shouldn't practice any of these techniques on a real person because they hurt. Annie's all right because she's got a good, strong chest, and she'll need it, as you will see.
Morning.
Good morning.
Now, if somebody dropped down in front of you, perhaps having a heart attack, would you know what to do?
No, I'm afraid I wouldn't.
No idea at all?
No idea at all.
So if that actually happens, what do you think you do? Just walk on, shout, scream for help? What?
I'd hope there would be other people around that would know what to do, I'm afraid.
Well, you're in luck today, because here you have somebody who's an expert in this. Iris.
Hello.
Would you like to show this lady what she might have to do?
Right, the first thing that you've got to come down is just give her a shake and see what's wrong. So if you just quickly give her a shake. All right, give her a shake. Right, what's the matter, love? All right. Then you need to quickly look in her mouth and make sure that there's nothing there. All right, nothing in her mouth. Now we've got to extend the airway. And all you've got to do is lift up the back of the neck, heel of your hand onto there, like that. All right, so try that. Just see if you can open her airway. Right, fine. Now what you need to know is, once you've got your airway open, is she breathing? If you put your mouth, your cheek down to her mouth, all right, like that, all right, you might be able to feel, and you can look at her chest and see if she's breathing. Now, if she's not breathing, what you're going to do is breathe for her. You're going to pinch her nose, put your mouth right round hers, and blow in.
Oh, very good.
And another one, and another one, and another one. Right, that's it. So you've got 4 breaths in. Don't worry about that, you've given her a kiss. The next thing that you've got to know now is whether her pulse is beating, whether she's actually circulating the blood. And you'd actually use your fingers just across from your Adam's apple, roll your fingers over, and
there's the Adam's apple.
Yes, right. Yes. You feel if there's a pulse there.
There.
You can feel that, can you?
I can feel yes, the lump.
Yeah, right.
Yes. If there isn't a pulse, you've now actually got to do external chest compressions. You're going to make her heart beat for her. Now, you can feel the little notch there, and can find to the bottom of her breastbone round there.
Yes.
Now, what you need to do is just put 2 fingers, measure onto there, and you're going to now lock your hands like that. So get your hands into this.
No.
Yeah, put the heel of your hand onto there. Now lock your other hand like that. Now you're going to actually get your shoulders, wait a minute, all right? Shoulders directly over her chest, and you're just going to push down about 1.5 inches. Now straight push down. 1 and come back and go with me. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6, don't take your hands off, 7, 8, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Come straight back to here, open that airway again, pinch her nose again, and just 2 breaths in. 1 and another one. Lovely. Straight back to your compressions. And you would just keep going.
It's a bit like some wrestlers do this, don't they?
It's remembering what to do, actually.
Okay,
Too much
let's
to remember
assume
this once,
that she's
isn't it?
recovered now, and she's breathing. She started breathing, and her heart started beating.
Now you just turn her into what we call the recovery position. All right, you have to pull them over onto their sides so that if they're sick, it will drain free, and it will keep the airway clear, keep the tongue away.
Okay, easy on a light dummy, not easy on a real human being because they're bigger and heavier and clumsier, i.e. me. So try and get me into the recovery position. Okay, so I'm going to lie down. Which way do you want this to happen?
You lay down
At the side of Annie. Okay, so here we are.
So I've done all this, right? Now you've actually got to get him over into the recovery position.
Which is side one to side.
That's it. So you need to put his hand right under his hip here. Lift that well up. Keep that straight. Right. Fine. Now take the far leg across the near leg. Take the far arm across his body slightly. Turn the head towards you. You've obviously got to protect that. Now don't kneel too close to him. All right. Now you're now going to rock and keep rocking as quickly as you can so that he comes on. Don't get so close to him because he can't come over. Can't sort of reach. That's it. Now rock and rock, rock and rock and rock till he comes over. All right. Right. Now you've got him here. Take the leg up at the side of you. Right up. That's it. Now move away, bringing this arm out to the top. That's it. Make sure that this backhand has come free. Right, like that. And then all you've got to do is extend his airway and watch his breathing. That's it.
So just tell me, what is the purpose of this?
The fact that your hips are higher than your head, so any fluids within your body will drain free. And by extending your airway, we're keeping the tongue from dropping down the back of the throat.
Oh, this is his good old bodily fluids. Yeah.
You're saliva and vomit.
Right, okay, you're talking about somebody being sick and then choking on it.
That's right.
Right, and we want to avoid that, so that's why we turn them into this position.
That's it.
Forgive me for asking, but in being turned, my right arm was trapped under my body, my full weight on it. I mean, do you then teach the person how to reset the broken arm?
That shouldn't actually happen. It's because you went over rather slowly.
Ah, yes.
Well, thank you both very much for saving my life and Annie's. Thank you.
I must say, you interviewed very well. flat face down on the pavement. Very good, and I thought the lady rocked you beautifully. But if anybody would like more information about first aid and resuscitation and so on, you can get it from the St. John Ambulance Brigade, and they will do lessons in your area, which are very useful. Doc.
And now it's time to come with me to the mysterious East. The mysterious East, where girls have names like people dropping spanners onto concrete. Ping, tang, pong. And to Hong Kong, where Paul Rogers from Reading, now that's him, he found the very uninscrutably named Wong Kee Construction Company. And come with me to Charlotte Rickard from Sutton's favourite exotic Hong Kong eatery. Can-do restaurant, bloody good cheap Chinese food at fair dinkum price. English spoken.
Do you remember 2 weeks ago we set out to find a straight man for Colin Fish? Perhaps I ought to explain. Colin is half a double act. He's the comic. His straight man, Mr. Chips, has decided to become a children's entertainer instead. So Colin came onto this programme and asked if anyone out there would be prepared to join him as the new Chips to his Fish. And in fact, we all had a go, and we were pretty wonderful, especially Adrian. Do some jokes.
Right, good idea. Come on.
Has he got to do that too, Colin? No.
You have to work with him like this? What are you doing with that drum?
What do you mean, what do I do with a drum?
Well, what are you doing with that drum?
I can tell the time of a drum.
How?
Well, you take the drum in the back garden when it's dark, and you bash the living daylights out of it like this. And somebody will say, who's that playing a drum at 2:30 in the morning?
Well, having demonstrated that being a straight man isn't quite as easy as you might think, we said, would anybody who thinks they can do it better and would like to have a go, turn up in Leicester Square in London for a mass audition? Well, that was Monday 2 weeks ago. When we got there, we found that 200 people had turned up, all of them quite determined to get the job, and all of them convinced that they were the perfect Chips. As you can see, they even spelled out the name for us. So Colin set off to audition them.
What are you doing with that drum?
What are you doing with that drum, mate?
What are you doing with that drum?
Yeah, what are you doing with that drum?
Colin, what are you doing with that drum?
As you can see, it's quite difficult to audition 200 people simultaneously, but the extraordinary thing is that Colin found someone. So here they are, ladies and gentlemen, Fish with his brand new Chips. Colin, what you got there? Oh,
Well, that's for you, you lovely lady.
Why's that? This is unrehearsed, you're naughty.
I know it is, but I'd like to thank you and these lovely people here and the rest of the That's Life team for doing what you've done.
And finally, Mr. Chips. Mr. Chips, this isn't your real name, is it?
No, Esther, my real name is Robert Percy Cracknell.
It's what?
That's quite a mouthful, so we've changed it to Percy Chips.
And what were you doing when Colin fell upon you?
Well, I was actually unemployed at the time, and I thought, that looks exciting, give it a go, and so here I am, and it's just fantastic. It's given me a whole new lease of life, you know.
And you're not frightened by his tummy?
No, I can get round that.
It's a long way round. Well, look, show us. You've only just started to begin to work on your right, haven't you? Show us what you've done so far.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our names are Fish and Chips. My name is Chips, Percy Chips. And this is my very good friend, Fish. Say good evening to the ladies and gentlemen, Fish.
Hello.
Oh, come on, be more enthusiastic than that.
I'm not very happy tonight.
Oh, why's that then?
The wife's run off with the next-door neighbour.
The wife's run off with the next-door neighbour?
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder you're upset.
Oh, no, I don't know. I missed him.
That was your second wife as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first wife got drowned in a wishing well.
What? Drowned in a wishing well?
Yeah, I didn't know they really worked.
You silly man.
And I'll tell you someone else's Chip, who's well, Chips.
What's that, mate?
I didn't know she had a glass eye until they come in a conversation.
Enough of this. Now, listen. You're obviously meant for each other. Can we all wish you the very best of luck,
Thank you very
Percy?
much.
The very best of luck, Colin. Ladies and gentlemen, Fish and Chips.
Thank you.
Well, we have another Jobsworth Award for you now. The gold-peaked hat we award for the daftest rule and the official who most steadfastly applies it because he says it's more than his job's worth not to. This week's winner is the Happy Eater restaurant at the Membury service station in Berkshire on the M4, and they were nominated by Susan Jacobs. She wrote to us and said,
We'd arranged to meet two friends at the Happy Eater last September, James and Julie Kahn. We were all going to spend a weekend in the Cotswolds. It was about 10:15 when we got there, and we were all starving. Well, they specialise in the Great British Breakfast, and we ordered the lot. Egg, bacon, fried bread. The Great British Heart Attack, I know, but a treat just for once. The only trouble was that Julie was pregnant at the time, and she had a terrific yen for toast.
So they looked on the Good Morning Happy Eater breakfast menu, and there was exactly what Julie yen for. Hot butter toast, brown or white. Susan told us.
So when we'd finished mopping up all that egg and bacon, I asked the waitress who was clearing up the table if Julie could have some toast.
The waitress said,
Sorry, love, no toast.
Susan thought she couldn't have heard correctly. She raised her voice.
Toast, hot bread, lightly tinted. Could I have a round for my friend, please?
Sorry, love, no toast.
Why not?
Because toast's on the breakfast menu.
We're having breakfast. That's why we'd like some toast, please. Our friend here has a yen for toast.
If she had a yen, perhaps they should have tried a Japanese restaurant. Anyway, the waitress was adamant, yen or no yen, no toast. So they called the manager over. The manager said,
I'm sorry, after 10:30 we can't serve toast. I'm afraid rules are rules, madam.
and that was that. Nearly. The manager did say,
We do very nice toasted tea cakes. Would you like a toasted tea cake instead?
but if you've got a yen for toast, tea cakes just don't hit the spot, do they? Well, just as they were going to give up, Susan turned the menu over and saw in the children's corner, under item 25, Marmite soldiers, buttered, toasted fingers spread with Marmite. So, very sneakily, she called the waitress over again. She said,
Could we have one portion of number 25, the Marmite soldiers, please?
The waitress said,
Certainly, madam.
and went to fetch them. Just as she moved away, Susan said,
Oh, could we have them without the Marmite?
Certainly, madam.
so Julie got her Marmite soldiers without Marmite. In other words, hot buttered toast. What a relief. We rang the manager of the Happy Eater, Mr. Brian Slay, and asked him about this no toast rule, and he said,
I'm afraid it's true. No toast after 10:30. We do it for breakfast, but there comes a point during the day when you just have to put your foot down and say, no more toast.
because there's no demand for it.
Oh, no, because there's a huge demand for it. But we have a technical problem. If you make toast, you have to toast both sides of the bread. I bet you knew that already.
Well, we did suspect that, yes.
Whereas toasted tea cakes, you see, you only have to cook on one side. And turning over the bread so our machine can cook both sides takes time. We are one of the busiest Happy Eaters here, and it means that people have to wait 15 minutes for 6 slices of toast, as against 6 tea cakes in 7 minutes.
In other words, turning over cuts down their turnover. We said our lady did get her toast by ordering Marmite soldiers without Marmite. He said,
Ooh, that's clever. They beat the system. I take my hat off to them.
perhaps they meant take off this hat. Anyway, we think, achieved breakthrough on this one because Happy Eater have just been taken over by Trust House 40s. And when we told this story to Richard Powers, who is their head of public relations, we said, of course, we aren't experts, but isn't there now some kind of machine that can cook both sides of a piece of bread at the same time? And he said,
Of course, they're called toasters.
well, we said, do you think that could possibly be an answer when so many people like to eat toast after 10:30?
I certainly do. The first rule is to give the customers what they want. I'll make sure a consignment of toasters goes up the M4 to Membury, and tell that lady and her friends that we'd like to offer them free toast whenever they want.
So we can announce 2 happy results of this job's worth story. Julie's yen for toast produced 2 new toasters in the Happy Eater and a beautiful baby boy called Sam. Tell by that lovely smile that he was thinking about Marmite soldiers, couldn't you? Anyway, as well as the Peak Cat, we think this calls for a thank you, Happy Eater. Cheers. They deserve a toast. Stop.
Now, spare a thought for Mrs. May Croney, who lives at 1 Old Hall Road. She was a little hurt to receive her TV licence reminder and discover that the computer had combined her name and her address. So it refers to her as 1 Old Crony. And speaking of odd names, Mrs. Spencer from Brigstock found a very odd undertaker's parlour in Buffalo, New York. The Am I Gone funeral home. But we'd all like to send our sincere congratulations to a newly engaged couple in Cornwall who must be perfectly suited. Miss Bone and Mr. Marrow.
There were a great many stories in the papers this week about smoking, because, of course, Wednesday was no smoking day. They didn't just talk about smokers themselves, but also about passive smoking, because there's been some new research by Professor Nicholas Wald, which proves that people who smoke themselves, people who don't smoke themselves, but breathe in other people's cigarette smoke, can also get lung cancer. Seems unfair, doesn't it? But it seems that a non-smoker who lives with a smoker has up to 30% more chance of getting lung cancer because of this passive smoking. No wonder people are getting keener on no smoking in public places. In fact, 2 out of 3 readers of the Star newspaper say they would like smoking banned at their place of work. Well, this week we've been talking to Richard Carless, who's been fighting this battle for years. He's a taxi driver. He works in London. And he told us,
I don't like carrying passengers who smoke in my taxi, so if a smoker gets in, I ask them to find another taxi with a driver who doesn't mind. But it's beginning to look as if that's going to cost me my livelihood.
We said, have you always felt like this about smokers? He said,
well, yes. I've been an asthmatic all my life. When I was 5, I had TB. And because I suffer from asthma and bronchitis, I'm registered disabled.
In fact, he carries this, his disabled person's card. Well, obviously, we said, smoke must be very bad for you in that case. He said,
it is. I'm not just being fussy. Tobacco smoke triggers a coughing attack that doesn't stop. It makes me really ill. That's why, when I was working at Heathrow Airport about 2 years ago, I turned down a man who smoked a pipe and wanted to take a cab into central London. It was a good job, worth at least £20, and I told him I'd certainly take him if he agreed not to smoke. But he said he'd just come off a long flight during which he hadn't been allowed to smoke, and he really wanted to smoke now. So I said, well, in that case, I'd be glad to fix him up with one of the other drivers waiting behind me in the rank. He seemed happy enough. The only person who'd lose would be me, losing such a good job.
Was another driver prepared to take him?
Well, I didn't have a chance to find out. A traffic warden heard us discussing it and said, you will take that passenger and you will let him smoke in your cab. Well, I explained that smoke made me ill. I showed him my disablement card. The warden said, either you take this passenger or I'll call the police.
And in fact, that's what's happened. The warden did call the police, so everyone had to wait until they arrived, which didn't please the pipe-smoking passenger at all, because he just wanted to take one of the other cabs into town. Richard told us,
when they eventually arrived, they said I'd have to take him or leave the airport. Well, in the end, the passenger got so fed up, he took another cab anyway, and another passenger took me into town, a non-smoker, who complimented me on the clean, fresh smell in the cab.
3 weeks later, Richard was summoned. He went to the Uxbridge Magistrates' Court, where he was charged with refusing a lawful hiring. He was found guilty. He was fined £20. Richard told us,
I told them exactly what had happened. I explained the effect smoke has on me. Well, they just weren't interested. So I decided to fight. I didn't pay the £20 fine. I decided to appeal to Southwark Crown Court.
Did that go well?
No, it was even worse. The judge not only upheld the conviction, he increased the fine to £50 and ordered me to pay £60 costs.
Why did he do that?
Well, 2 reasons. Firstly, he said I had to obey the bylaws, and secondly, he said that a driver can protect himself from smoke by shutting the glass partition that separates him from the rear of the cab. That's why he said it was unreasonable for me to refuse a smoker. But you can't keep it shut. You have to talk to the passenger to get the address. You can't avoid breathing in smoke if people have been puffing away in there. That's why I start coughing and feeling ill.
Well, what did you do this time? Did you pay the £50 plus £60 costs?
I was staggered by the decision, and I thought paying the fine would mean admitting I was guilty, which I don't think I am. So I refused to pay. So then they fined me for not paying, and the money mounted up until they said I must go to prison for non-payment. They sent me to Pentonville.
You really had to go to prison?
I did. The journey there was hilarious. The police driver got lost. He said, "You're a cabbie, where's Pentonville?" I said, "If you think I'm going to tell you how to drive into prison, you must be joking." Sadly, when I got there, it wasn't a joke at all. They put me in a cell with a heavy smoker. When I asked if I could share with a non-smoker, they refused. I started to get really ill, and only then did they move me.
It's still quite unbelievable that you were sent to prison. You'd think these days it would be regarded as a basic human right that someone with bad lungs should be able to protect himself from tobacco smoke. Actually, given all the statistics about the damage other people's smoke does to all of us, we all need protecting.
I did have a marvellous letter from Norway from an anti-smoking society there saying they admired the example I was setting, and that cheered me up.
That's the letter. It says,
We admire the example you have set. You've shown that it is possible for a taxi driver to stand up for the basic human right to breathe air which has not been polluted by tobacco smoke. We're surprised that an English court of law has chosen to ignore that your asthma makes it necessary for you to avoid tobacco smoke to stay healthy. Here in Norway, it is plainly stated in laws regulating taxi traffic that a taxi must be clean and well-aired at all times.
and if it isn't, they say, a passenger can turn it down, and passengers can ask for smoke-free taxis. Not only that, drivers can also put up signs in taxis saying smoking is prohibited. The letter ends,
Thank you for defending a basic human right.
however, it's not so basic that the Public Carriage Office recognise it. Richard told us,
The Public Carriage Office regulate taxis. Now they're threatening to take my badge away. But I'm not saying nobody should be allowed to smoke in cabs. I'm saying drivers should have the right to choose. There should be smoking cabs and non-smoking cabs, like the carriages of a train or the seats in an aeroplane.
sensible, isn't it? And for that, Richard was sent to prison and may lose his livelihood. So we rang the Public Carriage Office, and guess what we discovered? Taxi drivers are allowed to turn down some passengers. Brian Phillips is the officer in charge of the Public Carriage Office, and he told us,
A driver is allowed to refuse to carry a passenger with smelly boxes of fish, or if they appear to be intoxicated, or if they seem likely to be ill in the course of the journey, or if they're carrying animals.
so why not let him refuse a passenger smoking a smelly pipe?
Well, there are strict regulations within a central area that if a cab driver answers a hail and the journey is less than 6 miles, he must carry that person. The exceptions do not include smokers.
Well, perhaps they should. Wouldn't it be sensible to have smoking taxis and non-smoking taxis?
Well, that would lead to altercations.
The present situation leads to lung cancer.
Well, if we are to change the system, which applies to 14,000 cab drivers, we need to be pretty sure about it. Apart from the isolated incident of Mr. Carlos, there is no strong demand for vehicles for non-smoking passengers.
Well, that simply isn't true. The Taxi Globe, which is a newspaper for cabbies, actually ran a poll on this subject which showed that drivers do want to have smoking and non-smoking taxis. In New York and Paris, all the taxis are non-smoking. The London Tube is now non-smoking. After all, a taxi is the driver's workplace, and the Daily Star polls show that most people want their workplaces to be non-smoking. However, the feeling isn't completely unanimous among drivers. Monty Shyman is the editor of Taxi magazine, and he told us,
If Richard Carlos believes in human rights, I uphold the rights of the person to smoke.
we said, well, Richard is really only asking for the right to choose, because he's asthmatic and the smoke damages his lungs. In fact, the medical experts now know that smoke damages everyone's lungs. Passive smoking can give you lung cancer.
I don't believe experts. One will say one thing and one will say another.
Well, they all say if you're constantly exposed to smoke, even if you don't smoke yourself, you're up to 30% more likely to develop lung cancer and the other smokers' diseases.
Don't believe statistics. If cigarettes are really that bad for you, the government should ban smoking and then I'll take notice of it in my cab. I'm against compulsion.
Well, at the moment there is compulsion. Drivers like Richard Carlos are compelled to breathe in the smoke of a passenger who smokes. And the next passenger is going to breathe it in too. So we wondered how we could help Richard keep his job and, incidentally, protect all the other drivers and passengers who agree with him. And we worked out that one way would be, if you agree, write to us. We will pass your letters on to the Assistant Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police. Sorry, I brushed my teeth this morning. Metropolitan Police, who's in charge of the Public Carriage Office. Remember, we're not asking for a complete smoking ban on taxis, just the right to have non-smoking cabs. That way, Richard can keep his badge and his passengers can keep their lungs. Doc.
Do you think we're in a moral decline? I mean, I wonder if we really are all swirling around in a cesspool of Chief Constable Anderton's thingamajig. I mean, the evidence is all around. Mr. and Mrs. Latchford from Ross-on-Sea were somewhat flummoxed by the frankness of an ad for a coach trip in the North Wales Pioneer. London specials, 3-day wife-selling weekend. 65 quid! And Mrs. Evans from Bournemouth is still having to apply cold compresses after reading that Quinella Nursing Home has nursing auxiliary vacancies for nighty duty. And finally, from an anonymous police mole, incontrovertible evidence that things are really slipping. Look who's just been arrested. Sooty. Was it a police sweep?
This week, I'm afraid, we had a rather sad letter. It came from Guy's Hospital in London, and it said, because there are no organ donors, they can't perform the transplant operations that some of the patients, especially the children, desperately need. And without them, some may die. Which is particularly sad news for us, because next week will be the 2nd anniversary of the death of little Ben Hardwick, the 2-year-old who won his way into so many hearts in his short life and saved so many lives by his example. Because, as of course you'll remember, Ben himself suffered from an illness called biliary atresia that meant without a liver transplant, he would surely die. His mother, Debbie Hardwick, fought with outstanding courage to obtain a transplant for Ben, and she and his father, Billy, came onto That's Life to talk about the lack of donors for children like him. Ben, as a result, had his operation, and although he only lived 1 more year, it was a very precious, happy year. In that year, a great many other lives were also saved as more transplants were performed. And although Ben died 2 years ago, his memory is as vivid as ever. So many viewers still write to us asking us to send our sympathy and good wishes to the Fuchs family, the donor family who made Ben's operation possible, and to Debbie, Ben's mother. I spoke to Debbie this week. She told us,
I still feel Ben is with me. I reread the marvellous letters people sent me and the newspaper stories, and I still can't believe how much people loved him. He was beautiful. His laughter was the most amazing thing. I miss him very much.
I said, of course, Ben's memory is still very much alive in our viewers' minds.
Yes. I think the most important achievement was that suddenly people saw the need for donors. I can't believe how great that response was, the lives he helped to save.
So we thought we'd mark this anniversary by just bringing you up to date with some of the achievements of Ben's life, the good that is still being done in his name. Firstly, by his fund, the Ben Hardwick Memorial Fund, which was set up to help save other children.
Well, since the fund began, viewers have raised more than £250,000. They've done everything: sponsored donut eating contests, bowling and snooker marathons, sponsored silences in a girls' school, sponsored tractor drives in Scotland. There have been so many fundraisers we can't thank them all individually, but they've sung, camped out in the rain and raised thousands of pounds.
The money's been spent in 2 ways. Some of the money's been donated to hospitals and research units treating very sick children, and some of it's been spent on special equipment for individual children. A special unit for 4-year-old Tim Fleming, who's epileptic. A computer for Christopher Pullman, who's 14 and was totally paralysed from the neck down in a car accident. Equipment for 11-year-old Christine Debton, who has hydrocephalus, so she can get out, and many, many others.
The money is still being raised, and the book about Ben is still obtainable from BBC Publications, and all profits from the book go to the fund.
Then there are the lives that have been saved by transplant operations. Children like Andrew Hardwick. He wasn't related to Ben, but he was a great friend of his, as you can see, and he suffered from the same terrible liver disease. Andrew is still doing very well after his transplant operation 2 years ago. Anthony Cook took part in our Children of Courage programme. He had a kidney transplant, and he's doing well. In fact, Andrew and Anthony both went to the Transplant Games, which were held last summer in Merseyside. Although these games weren't reported at all on the national television news bulletins, they are in fact a kind of miracle. Every single athlete here has had a transplant operation. They look healthy and strong, they lead normal lives, and yet every one of them owes that to the skill of the surgeons and to the compassion and care of the donors' families. Gavin went to the Games and he met Mr. Ross Taylor, who's one of the leading transplant surgeons and chairman of the Games.
Mr. Taylor, what is the particular importance of these games?
Well, this is the success end of transplantation that you're watching, because we have here, as you know, patients with kidney transplants, heart-lung transplants, heart transplants, liver transplants, all competing, and all competing very successfully.
The standard's been very high, hasn't it?
Very high indeed. The 100 metres was won in 12.3 seconds, and I wouldn't like to race against the chap who won it, and I'm not sure that you would either.
What transplant had he had?
He had had a heart transplant.
Now, there are a great many children here, and many of them seem to be incredibly fit and incredibly full of energy.
Well, they are incredibly fit, and so fit children are full of energy. And some of them have got kidneys, some of them have got livers, and they're all tremendous. And of course, the adult recipients just adore having them around, as do all the people involved in the organisation. They're great fun to have.
Many of these children have been very close to death, haven't they?
Yes. Well, 20 years ago, if they had had the disease then, they would all have died full stop, because what we're looking at is the revolution in transplantation of organs that have taken place in 2 decades. Many of them don't realise how ill they've been, and that in itself is a marvellous thing, that they've gone through this terribly severe illness that's made them very sick, and here they are restored to normality, and not only physical normality, but they've gone through without being mentally scarred and without being frightened of doctors and hospitals, and that's a great thing.
One of those children is Andrew Hardwick, full of life, fit and active at the games with his father, Ron Hardwick.
They've been so good. The stars, aren't they? They really are, and the performers. I mean, look at him, he's still at it there, like, and he's been at it hours and hours, been at it since about 7:30 this morning, you know, he never fatigues, like. Just look at that there, I mean, it's wonderful, isn't it? Ah, it is. No, let's, the same as I've said, like, we've shed plenty of tears of sorrow, so these, I don't mind, you just can't help it, can you, when you look at things like today?
You must be very proud of Andrew.
I am very proud, yeah. I'm proud to be part of all this. Because everybody's had them moments when things were so black and so dark. Today they must... And even, I mean, when the surgeon looked round and all the people that's done all the studying and work, when they look round and see this must be, you know, job satisfaction to such people, must be wonderful. It really is. I can't say much more because I'm just overwhelmed, honest. I am. And thanks to everybody, I mean, say thanks to Esther for me, she's not here like, but thanks to her anyway. Everybody, and we owe so much to Debbie, I mean, we won't forget her. I mean, what about that little Ben? He ought to be here today, didn't he? Let's not say any more now.
One of the children who really put Gavin through his paces was Anthony Cook.
You're a terror.
And yet today there are children at Anthony's hospital hoping for transplants they desperately need, but donors can't be found.
This is the successful end. The failure end are the patients who are on dialysis and who are very sick with severe cardiac conditions awaiting transplant and unable to get them.
What can be done to increase donorship?
Well, I think it is high time that the British public and the authorities came to grips with realities. We've gone for many years with the ideas of education, encouragement. This will produce more donors. It has, but it's only scratching the surface, and the public want transplant, so there needs to be a radical rethink on what we do about donors. And I personally and many of my colleagues in transplantation believe that the way forward is the situation which we call required request, which is that whenever a possible donor becomes available, it is a requirement and a legal requirement that the family must be asked whether or not they give permission for the organs to be taken. There are many families who come to us afterwards very upset indeed because they were not asked, and organs which could have been transplanted from someone who is near and dear to them have simply been wasted. And this is a great addition to their grief already experienced at losing a member of their family.
Particularly when you see the lives that can be saved, like little Andrew. Well, sadly, the number of transplants seem at the moment to have gone down. One surgeon, Mr. Robert Johnson, who works at Manchester Royal Infirmary, told us,
This time last year, we'd done 35 kidney transplants. This year, so far, we've had 5 donors, so we've only been able to perform 5 kidney transplants. And if this goes on, it means more people, children and adults, are going to die who could have been saved.
and of course you must remember that no transplant is ever suggested unless, as a result of the most careful checks, the doctors are absolutely sure the brainstem is dead. There is no chance at all of the patient's recovery. Well, this week we had an urgent message from Guy's Hospital, Anthony Cook's Hospital in London, where 24 children are now waiting for kidney transplants.
SOS to That's Life. Guy's Hospital Children's Kidney Unit has only done 1 kidney transplant so far this year. Please help.
And we thought, what better way is there to mark the anniversary of Ben's death than to pass on that SOS for the sake of all the other children? Grant.
And you remember last week after the terrible Zeebrugge ferry disaster, we said that David Tench, legal advisor to the Consumers Association, was preparing a special letter of practical help and advice for any of the families involved. Well, we've received requests from many friends and relatives for this letter, which tells you how to get in touch with the disaster fund and where you can get the support and legal advice which is so necessary. So, may we repeat the advice that all of you write into David Tench at That's Life, BBC TV, London, W12 8QT, and we'll be glad to send it on to you.
The disaster fund itself now has a free phone number for anyone who wants information. You just ask the operator for free phone 1004. Maybe just repeat one warning. We know some people have been contacted by firms or individuals who offer them legal help in return for a big percentage of the eventual compensation. Now, the Law Society has called this ruthless exploitation, and you shouldn't, under any circumstances, agree to it. Perhaps if you have been approached in this way, you'd like to let us know.
Finally, we have some very good news about Leonie Chamberlain, who suffers from multiple sclerosis. And as we told you last week, her pension book was taken from her by the DHSS as a punishment because she forgot a doctor's appointment. Without it, for 8 weeks, she had no pension. Well, on Friday of this week, her book was returned to her so that she can begin to claim it again. She's also received such kind letters and offers of help from our viewers that she's asked us to pass on her tremendous gratitude at suddenly feeling that people care about her.
So thank you, on her behalf and on ours. Doc.
That's all good news. Now, here's another success story. Mr. Lightfoot from Wigton in Cumbria has sent us some pictures of the remarkable vegetables they grow there. A 20-ton carrot, a 22-ton potato. He fooled us until we discovered that the lorry once belonged to his son, Andrew. The little bounder.
Finally, we have a short but moving message just before the budget to the Inland Revenue. Whatever Mr. Nigel Lawson does to deprive you taxmen of revenue on Tuesday, though he deprive you of millions, perhaps billions of pounds of tax, please don't claw it back from the Warwickshire Paraders Jazz Band. They're 20 girls and 1 boy from the age of 9 to 23. They play kazoos. This is a kazoo. They play better than that. And they also play bell lyres and, of course, drums. In fact, they've won 63 medals and cups in the last year. But they are extremely poor. Their secretary, Lynn Grubb, who lives in Polesworth, wrote to us and said,
It started in 1982. The Inland Revenue sent us a demand for corporation tax for £100. We told them we don't have that kind of money. To be honest, we're all unpaid. We mainly raise money for charity, but they seem to think we're Kenny Ball. We did manage to persuade them we don't have £100, but every year since, they've sent us the most terrifying forms to fill up, and the latest arrived this January.
She sent them to us. They are pretty formidable. They're full of small print that asks for return of profits, particulars of chargeable assets acquired, and they say if you fill them up wrong, you can be fined or sent to prison. We asked Lynn if she could perhaps take some advice from another jazz band how to fill the forms up. She said,
No other jazz bands in the Midlands get these forms. I told our Inspector of Taxes that, and he said he wasn't interested in other jazz bands as they weren't in his area. Help!
We helped. We spoke to their local Nuneaton tax office and said these forms are a bit tricky for a jazz band and they haven't got any money anyway. In fact, we thought we'd better ask the band themselves to put this point to the tax office as only they can. So here, as we said, is a short but moving message to the Inland Revenue in Nuneaton, introduced by Grant Bainham.
Though they play with drum and flute, Mr. Taxman, hear the facts, man, and they look so neat and cute. They don't owe you any loot.
you do well. I can't really see you in there. Tell me your name.
Emma.
And you're how old?
9.
You're 9. That's terrific. And you are?
11.
And you've stopped giggling. You've been giggling all day, haven't you? You get the giggles. And this is your bell lie, is it? Yeah. Why are you wobbling around away from me? You're terrified. Listen, I've got good news about the tax people. Do you know what it is?
No.
They say that they're going to put you in the computer for 5 years so that you don't get any more of those nasty forms. Is that good news?
Yeah.
So I tell you what, see that camera there with the red light on? There might be a tax man watching that, so you could blow him a kiss. Blow him a kiss. Very silent one. Well, look, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Good luck with your kazoos. Did you think I was good on my kazoo? That was a silly question, perhaps, wasn't it? I tell you what, at this stage, will you help me say goodnight? Because we won't be here next Sunday, because they've got all these glamorous stars of film and television and the Academy Awards and all that going on. So will you say goodnight for me? Right, into that one there.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Join us Sunday week. Till then, good night.